The perfect anime villain. It's a title many characters try to claim for themselves, and one many fans would argue their favorite character to be. Unfortunately, I'd say most of them are wrong. Only one character has a perfect debut, one of the deepest, most unique stories in anime, and a perfect ending. The honor of perfect anime villain belongs to Cell, and this is his story. To achieve perfection, you're probably going to have to take bits and pieces from different things to get there. Nothing on its own is perfect, so it's fitting that Cell is a combination of the best characters in the Dragon Ball franchise, some of whom I've made videos on, so make sure to check those out. But it's more than that. From start to finish, his tale is compelling. It all begins with his introduction, which to me is perfection. Side note, I'm going to say that a lot, so we'll keep a counter up above. Anyway, to this day, I still think Cell has the best villain debut I've ever seen. The Z Fighters, aka the good guys, have just had their asses handed to them by the androids, a threat that for 3 years they'd been preparing for. The extent to which they were beaten has led our boy Piccolo to make the difficult decision to reunite with his other half, Kami. Piccolo hates Kami, but together they'll have enough power to defeat the androids. It's the only way. And when he gets in front of that other half, what we learn changes the entire direction of the franchise. Those androids we've been focused on for so long, they aren't what we should be worrying about. Turns out there's a darker, more powerful threat that has been looming in the shadows the entire time. But we don't know who or what it is. We cut to the other Z Fighters and we learn there's a time machine that's been found, except it can't possibly be the one we know about, and it looks like it's been here a while. Someone or something has come from the future. If you put 2 and 2 together, these revelations are talking about the same thing, and that thing just took out an entire city. A news broadcast plays. 15,000 people have vanished into thin air in Gingertown. All that remains are their clothes. For some reason, it feels like Frieza is there, and his father, and Vegeta, even Goku. All of a sudden, this battle shonen has turned into a horror anime. Piccolo goes to investigate, and when he does, it's terrifying. Clothes are strewn everywhere, objects lurk in the shadows, menacing sounds draw nearer. Then there he is, the monstrosity, Cell. It never crossed my mind to introduce a horror villain into an adventure series, but when it happened, I was in awe. To be honest, as a kid, it terrified me, but that's what made it amazing. His introduction was not only completely different from the rest of Dragon Ball Z, but anime. Even his embryo form in the lab gives off serious alien vibes, not too surprising as Toriyama was a major fan of science fiction films, and it's cool how this creature is the culmination of efforts that had been undertaken since the series began, tying all the way back to one of the first arcs in the franchise. He's a natural escalation to Frieza, the strongest natural villain, with Cell being the strongest artificial one. However, villains have great debuts all the time. That doesn't mean they'll hold up or stick the landing, ask Acnologia or Madara. Thankfully, that's not the case here with Cell. From the get-go, this character is unlike anything we've ever seen before. He's an amalgamation of the best characters in the show, and the way we see that play out, dare I say, is perfect. Imperfect Cell stands out because outside of being an 80s horror monster, he's a big bad who's not originally stronger than the heroes. He's more strategic, cunning, and cautious as a villain, and that's because he has to be. His fight with Piccolo is perfectly representative of this. He's hidden for years before being discovered, all to stay off the radar of the Z Fighters. When they finally do clash, he originally thinks he's stronger than Piccolo, but doesn't instantly go on the attack. Instead, he does more probing of the situation. Turns out, Piccolo's considerably stronger than him. This doesn't scare him though. He stays confident and simply uses a contingency to escape. While in the presence of a more powerful foe, he remains calm and collected the entire time. What does this tell us about him? He mirrors the traits of the man he faced. Piccolo, Even their goals align. Piccolo and Kami merge to become his most complete, powerful self. That's exactly what Cell's ambitions are, to absorb the androids and achieve his perfect form. Also, super underrated moment was how the imperfect version of Cell wrecked Piccolo before absorbing 17. Seriously, go watch the Funimation dub of the 2-minute scene where Cell takes out Piccolo while he's trying to protect 17. It's awesome, and for some reason, no one ever talks about it. How about his next form, the semi-perfect version? Now that he's gotten a taste of power, it consumes him. His ego shoots through the roof, and despite not completing his transformation, he claims to be invincible. The imperfect version remained poised despite being weaker than Piccolo. That is not the case here. When Super Vegeta arrives and thoroughly kicks his ass, you'd think this guy was Joel Embiid with the game on the line. He had no idea what to do. Who else has a massive ego and tends to freak out when things aren't going as planned? Once again, the man he's facing, Vegeta. It's even more fitting that this is the version who manipulates Vegeta into allowing him to reach his perfect form. If you're talking to a reflection of yourself, you'd know all the right buttons to push to goad them into doing what you want, and that's exactly what happens. Are you sensing a trend here? The perfect version of Cell is someone who simply wants the best battle possible, even if he has to do something incredibly stupid to draw that strength out of his opponent. He could have easily destroyed the world, but didn't. Why? Because that's not what matters to him. He gives the Z Fighters time to train because he lusts to prove he's the strongest. I wonder who this could be. I'll give you one guess. Sorry, it's not Yamcha, but his next opponent. Goku. This version is also by far the most chill, so yeah, clearly Goku. In a way, this is a battle that's been built up for their entire lives. Nearly every battle Goku has had led to this. His fight with the Red Ribbon Army is the reason Cell was created. Every battle he's had since then was more data to be used to create this perfect being. As Goku grew stronger, overcoming stronger foes in the process, so did Cell. It's not uncommon for villains to be a mirror image of the hero, but the same one doing it 3 times with 3 different characters? That's unheard of. There's always been a minor complaint that he's kind of boring, and I think him reflecting things we already see is one reason why that take is out there. He's not trying to be anything different or unique, personality-wise. However, a cool intro and intriguing writing doesn't make a villain perfect. How's his competence? Well, his goal is to reach his final form. He achieves that, and more. He absorbs both Android 17 and 18. He kills Android 16 and future Trunks. He's the reason Goku and King Kai die. He has the bravado to start and air a tournament live for the fate of the planet. Which, think about how insane that would be for a second. Who the hell would save our asses? Who is our Hercule? I wouldn't put it past Kanye or Elon to volunteer. As a threat, Cell is something we haven't seen before. He's able to use all the Z Fighters' moves against them, he's familiar with each of their fighting styles, and being able to regenerate makes him nearly impossible to deal with. So how do you put an end to this character? Well, how about with probably the greatest moment in the series? It's often said a hero is only as good as its villain, and many would agree that Gohan's final battle with Cell is the coolest moment in Dragon Ball Z. After he faces off with Goku, he exhibits that attitude I talked about earlier. He wants the best battle possible, and Goku keeps telling him, that's Gohan. Cell doesn't discriminate. If he needs to slap Child around, he will. To unleash this 10-year-old's power, Cell attacks his friends with an army of mini-me's. He mocks him relentlessly. He kills Android 16 right in front of him, and this is the straw that broke the camel's back. 16 was peaceful and kind. He valued life just like Gohan. To see it taken from 16 so cruelly awoke something inside him. It mirrors Goku's path in a way. The more action he saw, the more Goku realized there are some who can be spared and others who can't. Gohan learns that lesson here. He turns Super Saiyan 2 and beats the living hell out of Cell. After a 3-episode-long Kamehameha battle, Gohan finally turns this monster into dust. This failure makes perfect sense for Cell too. He's a dark reflection of Goku. He has his strengths and weaknesses. Ironically, the villain whose entire existence is centered around achieving perfection fails because he takes on the flaws of those who make up his being. It couldn't be more poetic. I don't see this brought up either. Both Cell and Gohan are products of their father's battles, and it's fitting that the one whose father supported him, in the end, is the one who won. How's that for a story? A great villain makes an impact on the cast around them, and so many characters in this arc grow in conjunction with or thanks to Cell. Goku is forced to pass the torch. Vegeta's disastrous defeat humbles him, and the death of Trunks awakens his paternal instincts. The death of 16 awakens Gohan's power, tweaks his values, and the death of Goku makes him Earth's new hope. Piccolo goes full circle combining with Kami and with his argument with Goku about Gohan. Even Tien gets the only relevant moment he has of the last 250 episodes of the series. I love how intertwined the theme of perfection is with his story. It's not just my subjective description of how he entered and exited the franchise, it's tied to the core of his being. His entire existence is predicated on becoming perfect. It's something he strives for, and in his mind, something he achieves. But the reality is, no one is perfect and never can be, so he loses because he has to, ironically making his story perfect in my eyes. From his horror movie introduction to being a reflection of each foe he faced, to going out in DBZ's coolest moment, it's safe to say there isn't anyone else like Cell. The monster who had a perfect debut and a perfect ending. His story couldn't have been told any better. You might even say it's perfect. With that, I'm out.